Now, the United States and its allies will impose severe sanctions on Russia after its military forces launched an attack on Ukraine. U.S. President Joe Biden said after blasts were heard in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv and other cities, Biden said his prayers were with the people of Ukraine as they suffer an unprovoked and unjustified attack. Now, let's get the very latest. We cross now to our reporter in New York, Sherwin Bryce-Pease. Sherwin, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Hi, Unati.
Sherwin, President Biden not mincing his words there, further calling this invasion as a premeditated war. Now, as the G7 meet today, what can we expect? Give us the very latest in terms of where we are.
Right, so late last night, the UN Security Council met in an emergency session, the second late-night emergency session this week on the developments in Ukraine. And it was during that meeting where the Secretary General, as he referenced in that clip you just played, appealed in that meeting, at the top of the meeting, for President Putin essentially to step down. It was during that session that we got news that President Putin himself in Moscow was making a statement, starting this military operation in Ukraine, and then very quickly we started getting reports that explosions and bombs were being heard in the capital Kyiv and one of the big cities Lviv in western Ukraine. President Biden is at this hour on a call with G7 leaders. We expect the President of the United States to speak to the nation after that meeting, and we expect an escalation in sanctions. He talked earlier this week during the imposition of the first tranche of sanctions when they sanctioned the fifth largest bank, VEB, in Moscow, including a military bank. They are targeting Russia's elite. They are also sanctioning the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline that links Germany with Russia. Among a host of measures, we are now expecting additional sanctions from the President of the United States at the conclusion of that G7 meeting. And what we expect to see, Unati, is a coordinated response. In addition to that, at the United Nations Security Council, there is a draft resolution being negotiated right now in the major capitals of the world. We understand that that draft resolution will call out Russia's violation of international law, call out Russia's violation of the United Nations Charter, and that is expected to be put in blue, essentially on the table later today, and a vote expected at the earliest tomorrow. But of course, as we all understand under the rules of the UN Security Council, Russia is a permanent member of the Council. It has veto power, so in essence, this resolution will be put on the table for a vote. You could get as many as 14 of the 15 members in support of that resolution, but Russia has a veto, so it will not become international law because they have the ability to block it. So a number of moving parts here. We also are seeing diplomatic efforts, even in the sporting arena. UEFA just announcing a short time ago that they will be moving the Champions League final from one of the largest cities in Russia, St. Petersburg, due to Russia's incursion. And we've also just recently heard from the South African government, Unati, the Department of International Relations, putting out a statement. South Africa's government calls for a peaceful resolution of the escalating conflict between the Russian Federation and Ukraine. South Africa calls on Russia to immediately withdraw its forces from Ukraine in line with the UN Charter. South Africa emphasizes the respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of states. The door of diplomacy should never be closed, even as conflict has broken out. So a number of moving parts here, but what we are seeing is a broad international consensus as Russia is increasingly becoming isolated based on its actions in eastern Ukraine, Renati.
Now, Sherwin, of course, I mean, everybody watching what is happening. And as we've heard from, just some of these world leaders, that nobody is really immune to what is happening in Eastern Europe at this present moment. Talk to me about the situation on the ground where we are in terms of the Ukraine. We heard, some of those blasts. Some of us were awake in South Africa watching news channels, watching reporters as they were reporting from several parts of the Ukraine, hearing these bomb blasts going on. What do we know now in terms of which areas have been, essentially invaded and any casualties so far? What information are you hearing where you are?
Well, let's just take a step back and understand why, in terms of the Russian position, this incursion is happening, right? You have the two separatist republics of Luhansk and Donetsk in the Donbas region of eastern Ukraine. These separatist leaders appealed to Russia for its military intervention, and that was acceded to by shortly after by President Putin, and that is why the Ukrainians asked for the emergency session of the UN Security Council right now. So the Russians are justifying this. They've called out what they've referred to as Ukrainian aggression against the Russian-speaking population in eastern Ukraine. Of course, the Ukrainians have denied that this aggression is taking place. The Russians have referred to a genocide that is happening in eastern Ukraine, but this has been debunked and rubbished by someone no less than the UN Secretary General, because this is a very specific term. And as you know, the experience in Rwanda and in Nazi Germany teaches us, we have not just seen the scope and scale of a genocide that the Russians are referring to here. There was also a very dramatic scene, Unati, in the UN Security Council last night when the Ukrainian ambassador took to the floor at the end of that meeting, just as the bombs were going off in Kyiv and surrounding areas, and he addressed the Russian ambassador, who at the time was chairing that meeting. Russia is president of the UN Security Council for the month of February. I want you to watch this clip of the Ukrainian ambassador, Sergei Kitslia, directly speaking to his Russian counterpart in the council last night. Watch.
So now I would like to ask the ambassador of the Russian Federation to say on the record that at this very moment your troops do not shell and bomb Ukrainian cities, that your troops do not move in the territory of Ukraine. You have a smartphone, you can call Lavrov right now. We can make a pause to let you go out and call him. Well, as I said, relinquish your duties as a chair. Call Putin, call Lavrov to stop aggression. And I welcome the decision of some members of this council to meet as soon as possible to consider the necessary decision that would condemn the aggression that you launch on my people. There is no purgatory for war criminals. They go straight to hell, Ambassador.
Ukrainian's ambassador there, Sergei Kitslia, ending that remark. There is no purgatory for war criminals. They go straight to hell, Ambassador. And really echoing, Unati, sentiments that were expressed by Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, in a speech to the nation last night. He said the people of Ukraine want peace, but if we come under attack, if we face an attempt to take away our country, our freedom, our lives, the lives of our children, we will defend ourselves. When you attack us, you will see our faces, not our backs. So that just gives you a sentiment of what the Ukrainians are feeling right now on the ground in Ukraine as bombs are raining over their heads in various parts. It's not just limited to the Donbas region of eastern Ukraine. And things changing by the hour. We are getting reports that dozens of people have already died in Ukraine. And this is, as far as we know, just the beginning, Unati.
Very chilling words there, I must say, Sherwin. You know, just echoing basically what also was said by European Commission Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell when he said these are among the darkest hours of Europe since the Second World War. But perhaps let's leave it there for now, Sherwin. Thank you so much, for your time and your analysis. Obviously, you will be keeping us updated and informed right here on the SABC News channel. Thank you so much.